Hi, this is Chris Montalbano, Principal and Senior Title Attorney here at Pilgrim Title Insurance Company. And we're at the closing table today with another installment of TOD Talk's title. And with me is Ruth Dillingham, Attorney Extraordinaire. She's a consultant to the mortgage and banking industries as well as the title insurance industry on all things compliance, federal and state law, and how to keep ourselves all out of trouble. Ruth and I worked together for many years back at Brand X, and I can tell you, as she said before we started, you know, when I didn't know something, I would always just call up the phone, call her up and say, because Ruth knows and I don't. So with that, welcome to thanks for coming down from Barnstable.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So we're going to talk about, you know, how with the new LEs or not so new LEs and CDs, how there are some traps for the unwary, and how, you know, we as maybe the settlement providers or others can cause some problems for ourselves or our constituent lenders, our client lenders, unknowingly. So, you know, first of all, one of the big traps I know I've heard you talk about is consistency and the lack thereof.
Right.
So, for example, if I am the lender's chosen settlement provider and the borrower has no choice in that, that goes in the zero bucket, zero tolerance bucket. Can you explain what that is?
Right. So there are three different tolerances that are lenders allowed for groups of services. If the lender allows the borrower to choose and the borrower goes out and chooses whoever they want and the lender doesn't really care other than a certain amount of due diligence, the price is no matter. It's so-called the unlimited tolerance bucket. If the lender allows the borrower to choose, but the borrower chooses from a list given to them by the lender, you got to stay within 10% of the quoted fees for all the fees in that bucket. If the borrower has absolutely no choice, commonly the case for things like credit reports, appraisers, things of that sort, then there is a zero tolerance allowance. The appraisal that's quoted on the loan estimate, that fee must be the same fee on the final closing disclosure.
Or less.
Or less, yes. And if, in fact, the appraisal costs more and the lender charges the borrower more, they have to rebate the overage back to the borrower.
Just the overage or the entire fee?
Just the overage.
Gotcha.
So as a result, lenders take zero tolerance fees very seriously.
I can imagine.
And really want to make sure that folks toe the line on those fees. The trap for the unwary, if I may, arises when a fee gets attached to a service and that service is not used. So if, for instance, the loan estimate quoted appraisal to Joe's appraisal company, $250, and there was no appraisal done for whatever reason, then that fee simply falls to the wayside.
Okay.
If a fee is added, particularly in our zero tolerance bucket, so the lender, for instance, fails to quote an appraisal fee and then has to charge one, now that fee, the entire amount of that fee is out of tolerance because it wasn't quoted on the loan estimate and is now shown up on the closing disclosure.
So that's entirely, the lender's eating that entire
That is correct.
fee. Gotcha.
So here's where we're hearing from industry commentators that the lenders are getting a little bit tripped up by all of the moving parts involved in a conventional real estate transaction because not every service goes by a common name.
Gotcha.
So if you had, for instance, a lender who insists that the borrower use Pilgrim as the provider, it's in the therefore zero tolerance bucket.
Correct.
Okay. And the service gets quoted on the loan estimate as settlement fee.
Okay. Fairly typical.
But in fact, at the time of the closing disclosure preparation, it's become closing fee.
So and there was no closing fee quoted on the loan estimate.
Correct.
And there's no sort of logical inference that can be drawn She's
TRID
zero tolerance means zero tolerance.
TRID is not a big place for logic.
Okay.
So what ends up happening, if you follow the bouncing ball here, is there was a fee quoted on a loan estimate
Yeah.
for a service that wasn't done.
Gotcha.
There was a service quoted on the closing disclosure
Yeah.
for a fee which wasn't quoted on the loan estimate. And so now, even though our lender thought that they had properly disclosed on the loan estimate, as you so elegantly put it, they're eating the cost of the closing fee.
Gotcha.
And this has caused a lot of problems for lenders.
You've seen this happen?
Yes,
You're hearing
and
stories about this?
I'm hearing that investors aren't buying loans because of it. I'm hearing lenders are turning to their business partners and saying, snap up and get it right, or we're gonna not be
Business
using
partners,
you.
right?
Yeah, right.
Gotcha.
So what I think it means for sort of all the players in the pool is there's a real need to be cognizant, particularly if you're in a market that you're new to, or someone has set up a sort of different business model,
Gotcha.
or you're working with a new lender,
Yeah.
to make sure that the fee that you're telling them should be on the loan estimate follows through to the closing disclosure.
Gotcha.
And this could be the case for any number of various fees. And since all real estate is local,
Yes, it is.
you frequently will find terminology meaning the same actual service going by
Correct.
different names.
Correct. Consistency is key. Well, that'll wrap up this episode of Todd Talks Title with Ruth Dillingham, keeping closing attorneys out of trouble since the Reagan administration. Thanks again. Thank you, Ruth, for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.